Well, greetings, guys. I thought I'd do a little fill-in video, something a little different for the channel here, because I used to do Blu-ray collection videos long time ago, but because my collection's so freaking huge, it would take forever to go through it, and I just feel like something a little bit more interesting for myself is going through my Laserdisc collection, because it's kind of hit off in some places here and there about me thinking about doing it before, but I never kind of felt like, I haven't watched enough of the stuff in the collection yet to really give a good assessment of it, but I feel like right now is kind of a good time because I got all the stuff going with the retro video series and talking about various things that are on that analog format and stuff like that, and some of the things to kind of preview and some of the things to discuss here and there. So I got a lot of stuff to go through, and it's going to be maybe a bit of a system here. I hope it'll work because there's a lot of laser discs. They're all very heavy, and you're not supposed to stack them because then they can warp the disc. So I can't just pile them up on the desk here. So I'm going to try out, hopefully I can keep a system here where things don't go slip and slide and fall off on certain ways, but I'm going to go alphabetical through the whole thing. So first off, you got to start out with The Abyss. This is the Widescreen Letterbox Special Edition, the longer version of the film that clearly Cameron does prefer because there was a lot of problems, whatnot, chopping it down for the theatrical version, which cut out a major plot point in the whole film, but this is a really nice set. I got it, I think about 3 years ago, whatnot. I think probably around 2019, I think it was, because I was like, there was a point in time where, again, there was a lot of news about the thing coming to Blu-ray, and it's like I finally decided, okay, it's not fucking happening anytime soon. I'll just break and just go off and get the Laserdisc, which I don't think cost me a whole lot. I think I got it online, probably from, I think it was from someone on the Laserdisc Forever group on Facebook, but just as I did a video on it for Retro Video Series talking about why The Abyss and True Lies aren't on Blu-ray, so I've already featured a little bit of this whole thing, but really just high quality fold out insert here. Very nice quality material they put it on, heavy grade stock. Looks really good. They got a ton of chapter stops and all that type of stuff, and just again all the things on here telling you what's been added for this version, chapter by chapter, what's the additional footage and what it all amounts to and all this different stuff, and just various other things involving what James Cameron did, a whole major restoration of the film stuff. I mean, this came out around, I think it was 93 it came out, same year as the Alien Special Edition, I think. So a lot of similarities in those books. I don't have the Aliens edition or whatnot, but I've heard like really good things in terms of how 20th Century Fox presented it and packaged it and all that type of stuff. They put out a bunch of different versions of that and this. So this is a much more expanded one. This one, I don't know. This is CLV, which probably has at least one CAV side to it somewhere. Yeah, the side 4 is CAV here, so you get the little bit of picture and quality and whatnot. But this one obviously is the box set, which has the documentary and all the other things. I think there's a commentary track. I'm not sure. Hold on. 1 hour documentary and exclusive stuff, annotated history and rare production photos, teasers, trailers, production artwork, storyboards, various other things. Doesn't say anything about a commentary on this one, so unfortunately there isn't one on this one apparently, but it's THX approved, and it's still just stereo, just like probably a Dolby Surround, so there was no AC-3 yet. I don't know if they did an AC-3 for this. Obviously I have one coming up here from Fox that is AC-3, but so I know they did pan scan one that was approved by Cameron because he shot Super 35, so reformatted for 4x3 format, and feel like slimmed down version that didn't have all the bonus features and whatnot, probably just the film itself and a bit of a more budget priced version for it. But definitely got to have The Abyss one way or another. And it's like we're here in November of 2022 right now recording this, and of course the new Avatar sequel is coming out in about a month and a half, so we haven't heard anything yet about Abyss getting hit up on the formats yet. So probably the next thing we'll wait for is like when Avatar 2 comes out on disc. See if it drops then with whatever the hell else is going on. So we're just waiting and waiting. Don't know anything, but the transfer says it was digitally remastered transfer approved by James Cameron on the whole thing. So he's very much involved with a lot of stuff on his home video front. But talking about AC-3 Fox titles, I do have the original Alien. Now this one took basically 6-track magnetic sound masters used in the original 70mm theatrical prints were utilized to create the soundtracks for this widescreen Laserdisc release of Alien. So much more slightly different sound mix than what you had before. I think maybe the 4.0 track on the Blu-ray is possibly the same one. I haven't gotten a full confirmation on that, but this is AC-3 Dolby Digital Surround. I did pop this in once. I got really excited when I found this at a half-price books about 2 years ago. It wasn't high price at all whatsoever, but this is pretty much a very highly sought after one. But one, because of that audio track, because it was different from all the other ones that were sourced from the previous Laserdiscs, and just the fact that this is, again, another THX certified one, which means best picture quality, best audio quality you could get at the format at the time. So I did pop this in right before we did our commentary on Alien, roughly about 2.5 years ago. But a year and a half ago, I don't know, year and a half ago. So I popped it in and I looked at it a little bit. It looked pretty damn good. I did notice, I think on the Blu-ray, that some of the matte lines were cleaned up a little bit better. So they maybe did a little digital restoration work on that front, but I thought this looked pretty damn good. If you're looking for Alien on Laserdisc, this is probably the one to get. Again, there's some other box sets and stuff like that, but if you have the option to do AC-3 surround sound, you have the demodulator and stuff like that, absolutely want to grab this one, because I should have said at the start, I do have a Pioneer CLD D502, which does digital sound, but it does not have a thing for DTS. It doesn't have a coaxial output, and it doesn't really have anything else. So I can't do AC3, I can't do DTS or anything like that, but I can at least get Dolby digital sound through the regular RCA composite cables or whatnot. But so I've always been kind of slightly looking for another player, but Craigslist the last couple of years has just been absolute wasteland. Nothing comes up on there whatsoever. And when I was first trying to get a Laserdisc player, I ordered 2 different ones. I ordered one, came in, it was damaged. The next one came in, it was damaged because the freaking guy who sent it as media mail, which is not for electronics, just for like books, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, stuff like that. It came in with like postage due stuff. I didn't pay anything for it, but the guy who ended up selling it to me had to take a hit on the whole thing because he sent it wrong. Should have sent like priority mail or UPS ground or something else like that to really make sure it came through properly, because they had to go out and inspect it, because this giant heavy box, they pretty much figured it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So that one came in damaged, but I eventually found the one I have on Craigslist for someone who lives like fucking 15 minutes away from me, and it was like $60 with a couple discs. I think I did sell off. I don't think I kept any of the discs that he gave me on the whole thing. So, but it's been holding it for 6 years now, so I could use a little maintenance on it. It has a few minor problems, but I need to figure out how to fix around with that whole thing. But got quite a few widescreen stuff. All that stuff there was widescreen, and this one is Back to the Future widescreen. I've never actually popped this one in. I was just at a half-price books, and I figured I'd grab it. I got this before I got the Blu-rays for the commentaries we did. So I'm going to mention this a lot. There's a lot of stuff I've done on this thing. I've either got a video on it in some form or another, or we already did a commentary for it. So we've covered Alien and commentary, Back to the Future on commentary. But apparently this was the last one of the trilogy they released widescreen on the format. And they never did a signature collection version. They never did a AC3 or DTS version of it. Just regular Dolby surround digital stuff or whatnot. So it's letterboxed and widescreen, but it's probably a decent transfer. Probably came out around probably early 90s, maybe 91, 92, 91 on this whole thing. So it's probably a decent transfer from Universal. I don't think anyone really tends to have any problems with it, but you think with all the other stuff they were putting out at the time, they probably would have just cashed in and done a box set or something else like that to really make it a very special thing for Back to the Future, which they didn't do until DVD. So that's kind of fascinating type of thing. And this is one, again, I haven't watched it yet, but we keep mentioning it on the commentaries every so often because Steve's dad, he was a firefighter, and Backdraft keeps coming up with the conversations. I got this, when I grabbed this, I did a video on it. It's probably 5-6 years ago. It was $1 at half-price books, so I was like, why the fuck not? And of course I haven't watched it yet, but again, it's a widescreen letterbox edition from Universal. Probably came out same freaking year as the Back to the Future one, but it's got several different discs on this whole thing. I really need to fix this whole thing because this is a mess. I hate these freaking poly thing. I hate these things. I absolutely despise them. with everything in my being. I hate these freaking things. They're awful freaking sleeves for this whole thing. I already upgraded a lot of the other Laserdiscs I have to more of the I'll show them later on when I get to them, but the much better sleeves to a certain degree, so much higher quality stuff. You don't have to futz around with weird crap, but this is definitely on my list to check it out. I'd maybe just blind buying the Blu-ray just for the hell of it, but I figure I got the Laserdisc, I'll get around to it eventually. If a video shows up sometime on the channel about it, you'll know I've watched it. But here's a really good one. This is one I had to grab up. I don't know exactly where I got this. It might have gotten at a Half Price Books. I had to get Batman, and the fact is, this looks good. At least in '89, when you're still kind of in the infancy of Laserdisc, this thing looks really good. Short of doing like a reissue that was like THX certified, I can't imagine this thing looking any better. Really goddamn good, because you know the film's dark. Visually, it's a very dark film, and that can be a difficult thing to master properly for analog video, but this thing looked really, really good. I was a little hesitant on, but I heard there was someone on Instagram or whatnot that I follow. We follow each other or whatnot. Did preview the disc and said it looked really, really good. So this one's got 3 different sides to it. I think there is, I'm not sure if this is, it's on the wrong side here, but stereo sound, Dolby Digital Surround sound, doesn't say, it just says extended play, so it's CLV on all sides, but it's a really good thing. The Japanese one looks even better just in terms of packaging because it's a gatefold, but got this nice clean artwork. It looks really nice. You just have the image of Batman and Joker there and just all the chapter stops. There's no inserts, but they did a really nice job laying this out in the short amount of time they had to turn around from like June over to freaking December to get it out back in '89. So they did a really nice job just making this whole thing again. They never reissued it. They never did any reissues on the Batman films whatsoever. Maybe like the later ones, Forever, Batman and Robin maybe probably had AC-3. I'm not entirely certain, but you'd think this would have been something they would have milked a second time on Laserdisc with a THX or AC-3 surround. But kind of the interesting thing that Warner Bros. Was kind of a little, not quite as prevalent with that type of stuff to do a lot of big reissues on that regard. I'm not sure if they ever got into DTS or anything like that, but I don't, since my player doesn't do DTS, there's no DTS discs in this whole thing, but you'll hear me say this a couple of times in this thing, because my friend Oliver Harper from the UK, once I actually got my player, put together a little kind of starter package for me to send overseas and everything like that, and this was one of the titles that he gave me, and I eventually did a video on it back in 2017 that was Abel Ferrara's Body Snatchers film. And obviously because I eventually previewed this because I was looking to do also the 78 film with Donald Sutherland and from Philip Kaufman, I previewed this. I did a little mini review type of thing on it, and I found it was pretty damn good. It could have been a better film to a certain degree, but it ended up being a pretty damn good film with a lot of sensational cinematography and a very good score that I'm still baffled why a lot of Joe Dealey's scores have not been released. Very scarce type of stuff, but this is spread across 3 different sides here, where I think it's not much more than a 90-minute film. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to check on that, but I don't think it's all that long of a film. But it's extended and standard play, so you have a CAV side at the end of it. It was 87 minutes, so it's kind of an interesting thing there. But that they ended up splitting across 3 different sides in this whole thing, because the film wasn't a really big box office success. You can go back and watch my video to find out more about it, because I'm a little hazy on it. But the fact that they decided to kind of like, okay, we'll give it it's really across that many discs. When usually a 90-minute film, they'll put it on one disc, like Back to the Future is under 2 hours. They just put it on single disc and just 2 sides. So something interesting in that regard here, if I can get this stupid thing back in the sleeve. But kind of a nice layout there, nice photos and whatnot, and pretty good stuff. Roger Ebert quote and some other person from the Los Angeles Times, but interesting. It's kind of a nice thing. They kept it in widescreen. Kind of the interesting thing on the Warner Bros. Ones, because you'll notice on like Fox or Universal or whatnot, they'll have like big banners saying Letterbox or widescreen edition. This is all you get on the Warner Brothers ones. This little indicia, this little mark on here that says widescreen edition, usually on the back of the whole thing or it's up in the corner. It's not very prevalent. It's kind of an interesting thing how they're kind of like not really boldly advertising that to a certain degree, because it was a big thing. That was the big thing about Laserdisc getting up on the widescreen stuff, which was a major selling point for the format until VHS finally started catching on and kind of releasing stuff in that format for certain titles. But interesting on that front and whatnot. But more AC-3 things, because I eventually decided, even though now I have the 4K stuff, the Jack Ryan films, at a certain point it's like, yeah, I want to grab up all the THX remasters of the Jack Ryan films on Laserdisc, and obviously in terms of alphabetical things, Clear and Present Danger is the one I have here right now. I have all the other ones, but because yeah, Clear and Present Danger, I think it was the very first one, that very first film whatsoever that was put out with AC-3 surround sound, and so they ended up reissuing Patriot Games and Hunt for October with THX and AC-3 surround sound. So those were specifically the ones I want to grab, just because I know with the THX certification they would be a better picture and audio quality. And haven't put this one in yet, but I can't imagine it doesn't look any bit of a letdown is what I'm saying, because they're very good looking films and stuff like that. But I really want to hold on to these, because you never know. I always have a feeling like I kind of want to go back and watch some Laserdiscs and kind of go off away from that type of stuff. But the 4Ks look phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But no gatefolds on this whole thing, just all this stuff on the back, and old Harrison Ford with a flag wrapped around him on the front. But another Warner Brothers widescreen title that's a little on the incognito side of that thing is The Crush, which always worth mentioning on this whole thing, because one, again, it's a little bigger on the back, the widescreen thing. It's a little bigger, but I still have to look for it a little bit. But the fact is, again, you want to get The Crush on Laserdisc or VHS. Even though you got better picture quality in Blu-ray, you don't have the original audio track, which doesn't have all the obnoxious dubbing on it. Because the lawsuit involved the whole thing where the screenwriter kind of based the events of the film on real stuff that happened to him, but didn't change the name of the girl involved with those events. So after the film was released, and a little bit after it was on home video, settled a lawsuit and the whole thing from the family of the girl, and had to go back and redub everyone's dialogue to change it from Darian over to Adrian. That's why I'm only watching this version, this one alone, because there's no reason I want to listen to that slapdash audio track that didn't bring back any of the actors to do it. Just got sound alikes, and some of them aren't very good. This actually looks pretty good. I did watch it a couple months ago. It looks really nice. And mainly because, again, it's widescreen, but it's 1.8:5:1, so you get a lot more vertical resolution to work off of to make sure you maintain a lot of good quality and stuff like that through the transfer. But I thought it looked good. I thought it sounded good. So it's an interesting thing. I ended up finding this up at a resale shop called Disc Replay around here, a chain we have. They had tons, just tons of freaking discs. I was flipping through things so fast, I had to do a double take. I almost just zip past and forgot about that, and I went back and was like, yes, have to get this. But another one that came in the care package from Oliver 6 years ago that I haven't watched yet, which I probably should, because whatever the fake fuck is Congo. Another widescreen one. It's Pioneer from Paramount. They mastered this whole thing. But I didn't really look at this one much. I didn't look at the packaging. It's widescreen AC-3 surround sound, so stuff like that, but Bruce Cameron's in it for like a minute. And then you got Ernie Hudson, and you got, what's his face, Dylan Walsh, it looks like, with a big head of hair or whatnot. It's just wild head of hair. It doesn't have a nip tuck or anything like that. But interesting type of stuff. Joe Don Baker, Tim Curry, Laura Linney, people all like that thing. I've heard it's kind of schlock, but it's entertaining schlock, so I have to find some time to catch up on it. But got the Frank Langella Dracula film here. Now this was the whole thing I got a couple of years ago, which I have no use for whatsoever, because I now have the Scream Factory edition that has both John Badham's now kind of desaturated version and the restored color theatrical version. So this is, before that happened, this was the only, aside from like the VHS they had out, but this would be the better quality one because of Laserdisc. This was the only way you could get the actual original color timing, but it was pan and scan for a CinemaScope feature. So it's one of those things, like I kept toying around with maybe doing like a Redux review of the whole thing, because I did it way back fucking 9 years ago. And it's not the best video I could possibly do, but anything like that. I bought this up several years ago. I thought like maybe I could do some other things or whatnot about Dracula and kind of feature some footage from the whole thing. I don't know, but I have the Screen Factory version, so I really have no need for this. It's probably at least digital sound, but probably just stereo. I can't imagine they did much for like a pan scan disc at the time. I think it was on 89 or 89. This is probably put out. Something else like that. It doesn't really have a date on it. It says 1982, so real early on. So I don't know if it has digital. I don't know. A lot of the early ones didn't have digital. They still had analog sound, so hell do I know. But yeah, so if you're... I gotta move things around. It's starting to slide there. But anyway, here they are. Frighteners, the one I had in the background of my Frighteners video, which I popped in for just a moment because this is just the theatrical version. This one I got from Oliver as well. He was dumping this off on me because he probably prefers the director's cut same as I do. But anyway, they did do a signature collection one, like I said in the video, with the director's cut and all the other documentary stuff. But I popped this in for just a hot minute. But I was like, okay, do I want to watch the theatrical, or do I want to jump in and listen to Peter Jackson's commentary on the Blu-ray? So I decided to jump over the Blu-ray for the commentary track. But for whatever little I looked at it, still looked very, very good. It's probably at least a 97 release, and it's a widescreen and everything like that with Dolby Surround, so you could matrix it out with your Pro Logic on your receiver and everything like that. But it looked pretty decent. But I would definitely suggest, if you're going Laserdisc on this whole thing for Frighteners, definitely get the Signature Collection one. It costs you more, but you're definitely getting the better version of it with the director's cut. It was something else like that. I think it was THX AC-3. I'd imagine so. If it was put out in '98, near the format's end, they probably pop for Dolby Digital AC-3 or whatnot. But here's one. Really, really fucking. This is one of the best discs I have. Absolutely, because THX version of GoldenEye, absolutely fantastic picture of this whole thing. It really looks good. Again, AC-3 surround and a fucking gatefold like fucking hell, man. Look at that. The Bond. There's a lot of Bond on Laserdisc, man. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I've seen it so much, and this incredible disc, incredible. I started watching this when I was getting out to the GoldenEye review, but I feel like, to make sure that I know exactly how like the visual effects hold up, I should watch the Blu-ray version instead. But a little bit of this I watched looked phenomenal. Absolutely, just killer type of stuff. I've heard the DTS version of it absolutely blistering. A lot of the DTS stuff at the time was kind of blistering. Hot mixes, rattle your house type of stuff. If you had a subwoofer, actually cripple you. Absolutely cripple you. But good type of stuff on the back with some of the special features or whatnot on it. They got TV special, 15 trailers and TV spots, and a bunch of other stuff. The music video from Tina Turner and commentary track as well. So good stuff on that whole thing. So definitely recommend it. Absolutely. Another one I have to recommend, even though the picture is maybe not as good as that thing, not as good as GoldenEye, but when I saw this, I had to get Highlander, man. I had to get this thing is triple gatefold. Triple fucking gatefold. Look at that. Gotta move it back further. Look at that shit. That looks, once I saw this, it looks absolutely gorgeous. The embossed foil on the front, the sword and everything. Even have this little varnish. There we go. All around, it's like beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's the 10th anniversary director's cut. Now the interesting thing, at least for the Blu-rays, probably some of the DVDs, they say it's the director's cut. It's not exactly the director's cut. It's the international version of the film. Because Hippie Daylight, the guy who helped me with the entire Highlander 2 video, has been very specific noting this on certain places where even the 4K version we're getting, probably still just the international version. So there's slight differences with the director's cut. Some sound effects are different in some places. There's a few minor edits that are a little bit different in this version. So definitely want to hold on to this. I do have the Immortal Edition DVD, which has all the Queen music videos and the bonus CD on it and stuff like that. But again, AC-3, THX again. I popped in a little bit here previewing before I started recording and whatnot. Looks pretty good. It doesn't look exceptional because the Highlanders have always been, despite how slick the whole thing is, there is still a rough, grungy quality to the entire film. A lot of heavy film grain in certain places. It's a little bit of a gritty looking film to a certain degree. Not super slick or anything like that in terms of like the visual quality of the film stock and all that type of stuff. So it's a little bit of the overcast things in some places and here and there whatnot. So it's not like super bright and stuff like that. So it still maintains a little edge to it in a certain way in how the transfer looks to a certain degree. But if you're looking for it on lasers, that's absolutely the version to get. There's no question whatsoever. Totally. And getting back to the Jack Ryan stuff, Hunt for October, the only one that has a gatefold. There you go. Big sub over here and a bunch of liner notes and production photos. So really, really good. Now this one is really, really good. Again, it's the THX AC-3. It says remastered digital surround. So the THX thing is way down here in the corner here. So it's interesting how they lay these out sometimes and don't advertise things quite as strongly as they could. But definitely 3 sides, and I think there's probably 8 CAV side, stuff like that. Here's the back side with a little synopses and stuff like that. But Academy Award winner in 1990 for Best Sound Effects Editing, Academy Award nomination for Best Film Editing and Best Sound, stuff like that. So best it's looked on the format. I think it really looked very good. I've watched this before all the way through. Fantastic film. Absolutely loved the whole movie. Again, I did a video on it that went much. I did a Jack Ryan retrospective video right before Shadow Crew came out. It was about a half an hour long, but it was like the 30th anniversary of October was coming out. It was like I could do a whole lot more on this thing. I just absolutely loved talking about this totally. So fantastic film, fantastic disc, great type of stuff there. Another one from the Oliver Harper care package is going to be almost back to back with something else here, but you gave me the Independence Day THX version, which is not a film that I have much of a thing for. I actually I did see the fucking sequel. It was fucking terrible, but I got a free version of the first film on digital copy for Fandango. So I guess that's for something. But I never popped this one in. But of course, it's widescreen and a nice gatefold. Nice type of stuff in the back. Not a whole lot on the back in terms of like eye candy and whatnot, but a lot of interesting little blurbs here and there. An AC-3 surround again, and doesn't list any kind of like bonus features or anything else like that on this one. But yeah, it maintains the main aspect ratio. And there's kind of an interesting thing. I'll get more to it when I get to the Star Trek stuff in just a minute here, but some of the scope films, never in the THX ones are much closer to like the proper 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio, but some were never entirely probably correct on that whole thing. You still lost a little side information. They kind of, I don't know if they blew it up to a certain degree or what the problem was getting it exactly right to the proper dimensions to the whole thing. Not like they warped the film in any way, but you can definitely see like there's some films that, not the THX ones so much, but some of them kind of cropped the sides to a certain degree and didn't get the aspect ratio 100% completely on screen properly. But another 1.8.5 to 1 one is Jurassic Park. Now I had this one, and I think what the hell? This is the AC-3 THX version. When I was looking around, I had this one, and there was another one that was a box set, which I think was a CAV version. Where the hell I opted for this one, because I think it was just like, maybe I'll if I ever get the AC-3 set up, I'll at least have that, but this thing looks really, really good. Of course, again, the DTS version. Oh, I've heard like the hottest things about that one. Insane type of stuff, but stuff on the back, little nice, simple design and whatnot. Nothing too crazy, but really looks good, sounds good. Definitely any version of Jurassic Park you want to grab up is absolutely worth the time for it, because it's always going to look good, sound good. Again, another one from the care package from Oliver back when was Last Boy Scout, which was just set dressing in the video I did early in the year. Threw it in, it's kind of mediocre looking. It's nothing exceptional whatsoever. It's okay in some places. Some other places looks a little here and there, whatnot. Not the colors so much, but just the detail is kind of lacking to a certain degree. It's not great. It's not a great disc, but definitely just grab the Blu-ray. Just grab the Blu-ray. It's not worth hunting down any type of way. But again, Warner Brothers, little widescreen thing back there, and it's got digital sound. You can matrix out and stuff like that. So not a whole lot of exciting things to talk about on that one, but what I'm mentioning in the video that I have in post-production right now. My thing just fell over here, so I'll have to fix that in a second. But Last Seduction here with Linda Fiorentino, Peter Berg, Bill Pullman, from John Dahl. I mentioned that in my Jade video because it also involves Linda Fiorentino, and that was her follow-up film to this. And the interesting thing is, it says deluxe widescreen version, but I bought 2 different versions of this exact thing, and neither one of them are widescreen. So I don't know what the hell. It can't be coincidence. I bought 2 different ones where someone swapped the jacket around for some reason and got it screwed up. I can't be. Because I got one, it wasn't widescreen, I sent it back, I bought it again, also not widescreen. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's a freaking packaging error or what the hell happened. I haven't found anything. But it just seems way too much of a coincidence that that sort of thing happens. But one I definitely had to grab up was Leviathan. Now this is one I actually got before I actually had a player. Because if you go back to my 2016 Forever Horror Month stuff, that was a month before I actually had the player, but I have this in the background, a couple of videos. I think it was probably the Subspecies sequels I was talking about at the time, but this thing came out in '89, and the disc looks fantastic. Just it's a really good-looking disc that is a bit of an abnormality that is kind of sci-fi whatnot film that bombed at the box office, didn't do very well. Actually got this good of a Laserdisc, just this good of a transfer on, because it was quite a bit of ways before they were doing very consistently good work, almost like very exceptional work on transfers or whatnot. So the fact that this thing looks very good is something I really want to hold on to. I was like, I really wanted to get the film and stuff like that. I didn't want to get the DVD because I heard so much good stuff about the Laserdisc, and then of course I got the Blu-ray, another 4K coming eventually from King Lorber, stuff like that. But the fact is, this has Dolby Surround and it's a very good transfer. Again, good stuff in this whole thing. Peter Weller, Ernie Hudson, you got Richard Crenna on this whole thing, Jerry Goldsmith's score, George Cosmatos directing the whole thing, Stan Winston effects. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good film. It's not great, some flaws here and there and stuff like that, but Phil just kind of keep going back to this thing and really kind of just earmarking it to a certain degree, saying that it's a certain fan base about the really good type of stuff in that regard. But another one I did a video on, Long Kiss Goodnight. It's got Dolby Digital. Still got a sticker on here that's own teeth back on it, but I grabbed this at half-price books and sat down and watched this, and I had to grab the freaking Blu-ray and then do the video like the next freaking day. That's how much this film just blew the crap out of me. Blew me the hell away. Absolutely love it. Rating Harlan, Shane Black type of script, and all this type of stuff. Just like, absolutely love this film. It's killer. Killer type of stuff. Good looking disc. Good sounding disc. I also have a DTS version of this whole thing, which again would definitely be recommended if you have the setup for it. But good stuff. New Line Cinema kicking out this whole thing, which again, another one that didn't perform because it just, I don't know where the fuck was. I don't know. You can go back and watch my video to hear me talk more about it. But it's got 2 discs, probably at least 3 sides, maybe more than that. Maybe probably just 3 sides. But again, AC-3 and stuff like 3 sides, extended play, no CAV side. So, but really, really recommend that film. Absolutely fantastic. And couple of them that I got from Oliver's. Most of them I haven't watched at all. I just kind of kept them because I don't expect to like go to half price books to get much for trading in friggin' Laserdisc. So if I have like a big stack of them that I want to dump off, I'll go for it. But never seen Mars Attacks, but he gave it to me because it was in the package, and he just decided to give it to me. And then Navy SEALs, stuff like that. I was, of course, looking at some Michael Biehn interviews lately, and he was saying some good things about him and Charlie Sheen working on the whole thing. And of course, because I'm a little bit of an old school Seagal mark, not current day Seagal, fuck him. But he gave me On Deadly Ground, which is kind of like the worst of the theatrical ones, stuff like that. But it should be widescreen. I think it's widescreen. I don't know, widescreen down the, again, Warner Brothers taking it right where you want to fucking find it. But then I'm grabbing up Out for Justice down here at Half Price Books. The things never look great on any format. I don't even have the Blu-ray. We did the commentary off of the DVD, which doesn't look great. Laserdisc doesn't look great either. I don't think there's going to be much more of a refresh. I don't think we're getting a 4K version. I don't think that's going to happen. I'd be a little bit surprised if they went that route and because because they never did shit with the fucking Seagal films on any format. There's no commentaries, no interviews, nothing like that. Just put the film out with a trailer or something like that. So I might, if I ever see the Blu-ray for like dirt cheap, I'll fucking grab it. But I don't want to spend like fucking $15 on the damn thing. Got better things to spend money on. But I grabbed this. It was okay. It says it was $5.99, so that's a pretty decent price. That's fine enough. Stuff like that. So yeah, Dolby Surround on that whole thing. Like I said, the picture's not great. It's not great in any type of way. But again, Patriot Games, the AC-3 THX version. Yes, indeed. No gatefold, like I said. So just a single disc, 2 sides, stuff like that. So on that regard, but of course, gotta get up the Predator. Gotta get up the Predator. I'm gonna take it out of the sleeve here to see it better a little bit more. But sound is pretty good on this whole thing. I thought I watched the disc at least once, and I kind of matrixed the surround sound out. I was like, this is really good. It sounds really, really good. Predator's always been, of course, a difficult film to get right because they had some film stock issues and stuff like that here and there. Of course, some of the visual effects kind of affected some of the quality here and there slightly, but this actually looked pretty good. For Laserdisc, it looked pretty damn good. And like I said, it's really worth it for the surround track on this whole thing. Again, just Matrix surround, not AC-3 or anything like that, but pretty nice back, simple layout, stuff like that. But I just thought the audio sounded really, really nice on the whole thing. Ransom, which I keep teasing going to do the video. I'll eventually get to it, talking about the extended version of this whole thing, which I haven't watched yet. I've only watched the Blu-ray, which is the theatrical cut, but have to get up on it because I started trying to go off and capture the whole thing while I was watching the film on the TV at the same time, but I was getting feedback, interference on the entire thing. I couldn't. Something that was going on with the capture device was sending a signal back through the whole thing, through the TV, and all this electronic interference was just screwing it up. I couldn't figure it out. I can't do both. I have to capture it, then watch it separately. So stuff like that. So I don't have much to say about this one yet because I haven't watched it. But it's widescreen and has, whatever it says here, it says on the back, 18 minutes of additional footage. So that's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of added stuff on this whole thing that I eventually want to get to. So I will get to it at some point in time. I just keep kind of circling around to other things that are grabbing my interest at the time. Interesting one here, The Relic. Because the film is so dark, I threw this in. I threw this in before I started recording. No. It's like, it's not horribly unwatchable, but you really don't want to. It's such a dark film. The analog format just doesn't do the darkness any favors whatsoever. There's so much noise. There's nothing to really grab onto in terms of colors or gradations or anything like that, or details. And just don't even bother. Just really don't bother. If you want to watch this film, just find some HD copy of it. God, hope they'll do a new scan of it eventually. Give it off this Kino or Screen Factory or something else like that. Let them do a new 4K scan to get a proper bit of contrast on the whole thing, proper brightness levels, because it still looks like a dated transfer. It's not great in any format whatsoever. But when I did started the retro video series off on was my screen lasers with the director's cut, which was again something I bought. Came across it at a disc replay like 5 months or so before I actually got a player, but I found it. I think it was about $20, something like that. Well, I came across it like, I can't pass this up. I found this, I can't pass it up. So obviously, you'll go back and watch the whole video on the whole thing, but came with this nice plastic thick sleeve or whatnot, so I kind of keep it in there to a certain degree. But it's only a single disc. I don't think it has Dolby Digital Surround, so it's AC-3 indeed. It has the same commentary track. You'll find all the other releases and stuff like that. So they got a digital track, the analog tracks, stuff like that, here and there and everywhere. So that's kind of cool. And so what I just threw on, I kind of bought this at a place called Reckless Records in Chicago after my friend, again, Oliver, did a video on the film Screamers starring Peter Weller. And I know it was mentioned because this was a Sony title that Sony had a lot of problems with disc rot. Where again, if I talked about in, I think the Star Wars video, that some of the plants wouldn't use like proper glue or whatnot, or they wouldn't use enough pressure when they're putting the discs together, and so you get oxidation in the whole thing, ruins a lot of the, just kind of deteriorates the glue in there, and you start getting problems reading the disc. So maybe a minor bit of just kind of stuff here and there, but I didn't find anything egregious on this whole thing. So I was looking at a little bit. It's not widescreen. It's a 4:3 version, but it looked pretty decent. The transfer looked pretty decent. The whole thing. It wasn't until like the last couple of years they put out a Blu-ray for it, so it was a little on the scarce side to a certain degree, getting up on a higher res format. So almost one that kind of fell off into the retro video series age and whatnot, but they thankfully swooped in and rescued it and stuff like that. So kind of an interesting little flick there from a Phil K. Dick story, but definitely what I've kind of gone around talking about is 7. Now this is the CLV New Line Cinema version, but it was put on disc the same time the Criterion version was put out from the exact same transfer, and the thing looks phenomenal. Absolutely incredible. I was just floored watching this thing. Absolutely incredible. And the thing I've been talking about for like the last 2 years, trying to figure out this goddamn video, talking about the color grading that keeps changing every time they put it on a new format. It looks completely different from the freaking Blu-ray, from the DVD, stuff like that. The colors are different. It's not exactly from the film print, because you really wouldn't want to go from a film print. You want to go much more from the original negative. So they kind of took the original negative into the computer and kind of tried to approximate the entire look they got from the theatrical version with the bleach bypass process. So it's probably the closest version to the theatrical experience you would have gotten back in '95, but it's not 100% the exact same thing. But I'll figure this fucking video out some way or another to kind of boil it down and kind of discuss it to a certain degree, because the whole thing got blown up to a certain degree of idea of like the morphing, how color grading keeps changing, keeps affecting films, and kind of have how directors keep changing how their films look from version to version, stuff like that, and how films keep morphing, masters get changed up and stuff like that. It became a much bigger topic I was exploring that I just got out of hand. I can't quite get a handle on exactly where to end the conversation. Because there's always new transfers coming out there talking about different things here and there that change how films look in certain ways and blah blah blah. But this is another one I picked up from Reckless Records the same day as that other one. Haven't watched it. I just figured I'd grab it up because it's just a film I just haven't watched. But I always grab up some fucking skin flicks. This one's got a Blu-ray release, clearly. It's a Pam Anderson film, but it's got Stephen Bauer, Chelsea Field, who are both pretty good actors. I really like Stephen Bauer. He's a really good actor. Really good stuff. I like him a lot. But it's here and there and everywhere. I think I'm not. Someone's done a video on this. It might have been Cecil, Good Bad Flicks. I'm not entirely certain. Someone covered this in some form whatsoever in the last year or two or something like that. But never even watched the whole thing. I kind of grabbed it up because it was fucking dirt cheap or something like that. I figured I'd just grab it up with other stuff I still have to go in this entire thing. But again, skin flick from the 90s. I think it was Pam Anderson's first flick. She was doing Baywatch or something like that. But some decent things. But now we're getting to the Star Trek stuff. And special longer version, which is kind of obsolete now because they put out, finally saw the box at Best Buy. I didn't grab it or anything like that because I grabbed the other versions I have now. But because they put this on the new box set for this motion picture, and it's in widescreen and all the other stuff, and they remastered in 4K. But I bought this at the time when I was actually starting up doing the reviews for the films. And it's like, this one kind of showed up just a little too late for me to get up and kind of exploring it and watching it and stuff like that. So I've kind of held on to it. But because Drew or whatnot, who does the visual comparisons and stuff like that online or whatnot, I gave him capture of the widescreen Laserdisc, which I have in the box set down here, and also gave him a version of this, but been much more focused on the 4K version, stuff like that. But this is actually, again, the special longer version that premiered on ABC with 12 minutes of additional footage, and I think they at least put it on 3 sides, if not 4, probably 3. But you never know. The film got really, really long. Those 3 sides, but here and there and everywhere. Probably, it's so early, I don't know if they'd have digital sound of this whole thing. I'm probably not. I don't know if there was digital sound at this time because they probably put it. When the hell did they put this thing out? I don't know. It doesn't have a mark here or anything like that for copyright or anything like that. But I don't know. I don't know. It might have put out in 1980. The thing was marked 1980 as like the copyright on this version or whatnot. But I don't know. I don't know if this one has digital sound or whatnot. I'd have to look into that. But yeah, up on some of the other stuff here. Let me hit up the box set. The box set, because I got some other things to talk about. Because I got the 25th anniversary that's coming out in '91, which has the first 5 films, and transfers look really good. No AC-3, but it's, again, Dolby Digital Surround. You could matrix it out. Very difficult to say that stuff. But it's got some beat up wear and tear on it, but I really like this box set, because open it up. And you got this whole booklet. It has, if you've ever seen the individual releases, this has the actual artwork of it inside here, so that's really good type of thing. Because I had, like, Christmas back in, like, I don't know, '92 or something else like that. Parents got me, actually, the pan and scan VHS box set that had this kind of, like, sprawling Enterprise artwork across the spines and whatnot. I could probably throw up a picture of it, but it just looks really this just looks fantastic. I just love the look of it. You don't lose anything getting this box set over those individual releases. Looks really wonderful. It's really wonderful. And then I really like the disc to come this nice, slick sort of sleeve or whatnot. Similar to the stuff I've kind of updated the other sleeves to, but again, nice little thing to have a little 25th anniversary logo down there for all the things. And so, might as well show up at least one disc in this whole thing properly. But it's a really nice, solid, slick package. There's no bonus features, no commentaries or anything else like that, but they're extremely well presented. I've come across a lot of Paramount stuff that looks really, really good, and this is really exceptional. So I don't know for certain. Let me look at motion picture here. No, it's all CLV stuff, all extended play. I think it's only the motion picture is the one that's over 2 hours. All the other ones, I believe, are just single disc editions. So used to have some other things in here, but a little nice sort of like styrofoam or something else like that backing on this thing to keep them all nice and padded. Really nice piece of work here. It's a really slick package. I think it really comes out well. Poster artwork on the back. Really hefty type of thing, but it says made in Japan. So here, there, and everywhere. So really good. It's a really nice package. I think if you want to get Trek on Laserdisc, this is definitely a worthwhile one. Or the one that comes out after this called just Star Trek the Movies. I think goes up the generations on that regard. But was with the Star Trek ones where I did notice that the aspect ratios are supposed to be like 2.35 to 1, but they look closer to maybe 2.2 to 1 or something else like that. They kind of like cropped it in because they kind of actually went off, loaded it up, did a freeze frame type of thing, paused it, then it kind of went back and forth between that and like DVDs or whatnot at the time, because I was looking at Voyage Home, which I have another version of down here, which I featured a little bit in my video for the film a couple years back. The director's widescreen edition, the Paramount Director Series. So same exact transfer. I think this came out either the year before, probably the year after that one. The exact same transfer, but they have a little introduction for Leonard Nimoy on the whole thing. So I did use a lot of that footage in that. I also captured and gave it off to Oliver when he covered the film too. So it's a really nice piece of work. They put clips of it in the featurettes on the DVDs and Blu-rays, but not the entire proper introduction. I think it's about 15 minutes long, where he talks about some of the production of the whole film, that talks about widescreen versus 4:3, the pan and scan stuff. So really good type of thing. But they put that at the beginning of the film, so the side breaks are different from the box sets because they shifted everything off like that. But exact same transfers are not. There's no difference whatsoever. The exact same audio tracks, stuff like that. So it's all matrix out, stuff like that. But again, nice. Nothing special on this whole thing, but again, nice white sleeves or whatnot. And they got still a little bit more this sort of brownish type of label on the whole thing. So it's a really nice thing. They did that for Fatal Attraction and a couple other ones as well. So they're kind of well sought after at the time. They put them out on VHS as well, but I definitely grabbed that up specifically for that version. I think that also was another one I grabbed before I had the player. So probably a couple of months before that because I just knew I really wanted to get that version of it for that intro and stuff like that. But of course I got Star Trek 6 here, and I actually got this one sealed. I got it from I think a Laserdisc Forever group seller or whatnot. It's the exact same transfer that was on the original DVD release. So it was non-anamorphic at that point in time, so it came exactly like this. I didn't know that when I rebought the DVD. I realized, well, that's got to be the exact same thing on the Laserdisc. So I'll just keep the Laserdisc and kick off the freaking DVD, because what the hell do I need that for? So this one's also Dolby Surround, so no AC-3 or whatnot. Single disc, 2 sides, but I'm not sure if I don't think it came. I think I just swapped this sleeve for another one because it was such a good looking and well preserved sleeve or whatnot. I just put this plastic case around it, but a really nice looking thing here. Nice layout and everything, and fantastic poster art, which I have up on the wall right now. So there's that, and the last one I have from Trek is First Contact, and not too crazy about it, but I think it has AC-3. Yeah, Dolby Digital AC-3 THX. So it was probably ordered to come out in '97, so they definitely would have sprung for that in that regard. But only the one after this was Insurrection, then everything else fell off from Laserdisc at the time. But it's a pretty good looking disc. I think it looks pretty good. Good sounding and whatnot, but right now I would either watch this or stick with my DVD version. Again, the Blu-rays are a little heavy on the DNR things and whatnot, but great artwork all over the whole place. Definitely one of my, just because all the colors and whatnot, I think it's one of the better looking Trek ones that I almost want to have on my wall if I like the film just a little bit more. Not super crazy about the film, but I did have a lot of critical things to say about, a lot of like positive things to say about. So you can go back and watch that. I did all the stuff for the first Trek films. I jumped over to First Contact, and I was kind of mulling around, maybe doing Generations earlier this year, but I might wait off seeing when they're going to drop a 4K version of the whole thing. So there's that. But jumping over here, you got to jump into the very briefly on the Star Wars stuff, because I already covered all this stuff in the entire retro video series thing. But CBS Fox version of the whole thing, of the original film, gatefold, and then stuff on the back, and then a little more around here. Get Empire, nice whole thing where they still have this gray banner thing that doesn't look quite as attractive, but this one has again chapter stops on the back, and these are all just Dolby Surround type of stuff in that regard, but nice little setup there. And then they changed things up a little bit for Jedi, where they did all black to kind of match the aesthetics and whatnot. Looks much better, and great photography there for all the models and whatnot on the Death Star and the Star Destroyer and stuff like that, and a couple other pieces here and there. Some minor production notes here and there. And then the chapter stops at the back, and some cast listings and other little things here and there. Academy Award nominations on the back of these things. So I don't think they kind of mention on the other ones. They're not quite formatted exactly the same way, but here, there, and everywhere. And then, of course, the Technodisc pressing that I talked about in the entire video, which was a Fox video version from, again, Technodisc and whatnot, not Mitsubishi or anything else like that. But you'll notice from the printing on the two different versions, it's a little more red on the Technodisc pressing. Or cases the printing of it was a little more red to a certain degree, but it's basically the exact same layout aside from little indicias and the logos down here that kind of denote exactly which version you're looking at in that regard there. But the bigger one that I will be talking about eventually is the special edition box set, which will be a video that's coming in the next couple of months here, but showed this off when I first got it. Looks fantastic. Just the box itself, it looks awesome. Traded in a whole bunch of stuff at Disc Replay, and I walked out the door paying like $10 for the damn thing. Insane. And partially also because like the guys there were really busy in the middle of the day, and I just kind of waited there for like an hour or whatnot, so they gave me a little extra something off the top of it, and in addition to all the other stuff. But so I got a really good, extremely good deal on this whole thing. They also had the definitive collection there at the time, but this one is much more the thing I really want to get, because it's a little bit more peculiar, a little bit more special in a certain way. Talk about more later, but Really, really, really excellent layout, this whole thing. Really classy looking stuff. This does have AC-3 surround. And show off a little bit of the stuff with the disc. These wonderful sleek black with the silver on this whole thing. Little centerpiece there on the disc, whatnot, showing off the Darth Vader logo. And again, plain black on the back. So there's CLV, and I think there's maybe, I don't know if there's any CAV on this whole thing. CAV, there's some CAV. So here, there, everywhere. I think discs are a little bit jumbled up here. Yeah, they've got CAV on the third sides of each one of the films, and plus they've got, as I'll detail here, they've also got a bunch of the special edition trailers and some featurettes talking about the restoration, the new effects, and stuff like that. So this is an invaluable resource that, again, a lot of this stuff doesn't get ported over to like the DVD release, the 4K release, the Blu-ray release. So I will be talking about this release and the 2004-2006 DVDs in the next retro video series I do on Star Wars stuff. So it's a lot of research to get into that again, so maybe about another month or two off, but that will be discussed in due time. But this is a really nice centerpiece type of thing, and I never got the definitive collection version because they already had the exact same transfers on VHS and DVD. And like I said in the video I did, special features aren't too amazing in a certain way. There's a little sparse, little kind of like nuggets of information here and there. So I'm not too fussed about the entire thing grabbing that. So not crazy about it, but it looks fantastic. Of course, it looks fantastic in terms of like just a box set. It looks fucking impressive. But one concert disc I have, because pretty much the only way you could get it is on Laserdisc, and that was Stevie Nicks in concert. This was from the final show of her first tour as a solo artist from the Belladonna tour, and you can actually find on the remastered version of Belladonna the complete concert. Just the audio though. They never remastered the video, they never put the video concert back out, but they put the entire audio of the concert on the remastered version of the album. So this is a much more truncated one that runs just 1 hour. But this one does have digital sound. I'm pretty certain of that. That has a logo here that says stereo. I know it says it somewhere. I swear to Christ it says digital somewhere on this whole thing. I'm pretty certain this is digital sound. It's not telling me anything right now, but this is a fantastic concert. I absolutely love watching this thing. It sounds great. It looks great. It's a really just absolute pleasure listening and watching this thing. I wish it said something about digital on this thing. I swear to Christ. It's digital, because I think they put it out twice. I'd have to look this up. Anything like that. They're not really telling me much here anywhere about the audio. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. I'll put something up on the screen if I find out. Anyway, moving on. Another Fox title, AC-3 Surround THX, Strange Days. Fantastic film. Absolutely love this from Catherine Bigelow. Also, it was produced by Cameron, and screenplay also co-written by James Cameron. So I think it was after the divorce, they've separated or whatnot, but they kept working together to a certain degree, and it's like absolutely incredible film. And another one that's this freaking curse of this light store and entertainment stuff where they just will not put out the fucking Blu-rays. There's one out in Region B. Unless you have a region player here, you can't really do much about it. And you can't find it on any streaming services, anything like that. So it follows on exactly the same stuff I talk about with True Lies and The Abyss. It's the exact same rut in that regard, but I had the DVD before, and the DVD looks inferior to the Laserdisc. Because I put it in one New Year's Eve. It's like, this doesn't look great. I can pop this thing right in. Look at this sound bench. It looks fantastic. The design of this whole thing looks absolutely fantastic. I love the back of this. It looks so absolutely fantastic. I just think the entire design of this whole thing looks absolutely incredible. Incredible film. I have to watch it again. I didn't watch it last year, I don't think. So it's been about 2 years, so I'll have to pop this in again sometime soon. Absolutely incredible. It just absolutely just floors the shit out of me. Again, Ray Fiennes, Juliette Lewis, Angela Bassett, William Fichtner, Vincent D'Onofrio, Michael Wincott, just like killer fucking row of actors in this regard. Awesome fucking movie. Just absolutely love this thing. I just need I can't wait. I need a fucking HD. I need a Blu-ray. I need something. I need a 4K. Stuff like that. And talking about 4K stuff that's coming up, in a certain way. Take a breath. Widescreen version of Superman the movie, which is the U.S. version. I was a little disappointed. Now, what I'm alluding to in that whole thing is that there's not an official announcement yet, but retailers have been saying they're getting information, postings and whatnot, that there is going to be a Superman 4K box set. At least I think it's going to be a box set. At least the first four, the Christopher Reeve films are getting 4K right around April. Now, nothing's official yet, so when something's official, I'll talk about it more in depth. But I haven't got the 4K version of Superman the movie because I heard that the restoration was a little bit off. So the Dolby Vision wasn't quite as good as it could have been, so we're hoping and thinking that maybe they'll repress it and do stuff in that regard. But wasn't very impressed with this disc. I was kind of disappointed in it because visually it doesn't look very good. It's a lot of print damage, a lot of speckles and stuff like that. There is a later version. I think they reissued it. I think it's just a remastered version that was in the 90s. This one came out somewhere in the 80s, I believe. Now, it came out in 1990, but there was one that came out much later on. Especially there's a Japanese one that I think looks a lot better than this whole thing. So I think I started watching this some time ago, a couple years ago when I grabbed it. I may have been sent down to maybe do the review on the film, and I was a little, that's kind of disappointing. It doesn't look that great. Again, I think it's just Matrix Dolby Surround, so there's definitely a step up to do off of this one, even though it's widescreen, and they do three discs on the whole thing. So it's extended play all around, so it's all CLV type of stuff. So it's a nice looking jacket, but I think it just could have. I was a little underwhelmed by the picture quality of the whole thing. It definitely could have been better spruced up for the entire format there, but there's a set of things I can really whip through really fast. It's all the Terminator stuff, because it's all the exact same stuff I had in the video some time ago. So when I waited a whole lot more, so I look a lot heavier going back to that video, but I got all the different stuff with the terrible HBO version that looks like shit, because it was done from like some kind of PAL speed up or some other goddamn thing. It looks like shit. Later one that was probably from like a original camera negative with no color restoration on it. The first widescreen edition that looks pretty good. I think it was from theatrical film print, but definitely the THX one is absolutely the one to grab. If you're looking for a fucking Terminator on Laserdisc with the original mono sound, grab this one. Or if you don't have Laserdisc, grab up the original DVD, the one that has pretty much the exact same thing with the purple banner on it. Grab that up. Grab that one up too. This the exact same thing, just transferred over to the DVD. It sounds great. Fantastic. And of course, we're rounding things out just a little bit here. We're going to have some Schwarzenegger here. And my two different T2 ones. I got the special edition widescreen one, which I actually got because I was ordering online. They don't seem, for a reason, Reckless Regulars shut down their online thing. They keep saying they're going to bring it back. It's been off for like a year and a half now. But I was ordering the THX version of the first film. They accidentally sent me the special edition THX of T2. So I actually am getting this for free because I emailed them. I was like, this is not the one I ordered. So I got to keep this one and get the other one I actually wanted. So the first time I got the THX one, it arrived cracked. Goddamn. It's terrible when that happens. So that sucked. So, but I got my money back on eBay for that. But this thing, look at that gatefold. It looks fucking phenomenal. Backside, looking good stuff too. There's no bonus stuff on this whole thing. It's just the special edition. That's it. THX widescreen. I think it's just Dolby Surround. They did put out an AC-3 one of the theatrical cut later on in the format's life, but that was all there was on that. And I think that probably the anamorphic squeeze one from Japan probably also had AC-3 as well. Possibly, I'm not entirely certain. But this is the 4x3 one, sort of the not really pan scan. It's more kind of open matte to a certain degree. Just reformat for 4x3 because it was Super 35 again. But when I was producing the video back when, I feel like I probably should have at least a 4x3 version to kind of show the difference. So this is not the THX version. This is pre-THX. This is from the original transfer. So there's some color differences towards the THX one. So a little bit on that because, but again, because it's T2, they still give it a goddamn gatefold because, fuck yeah, one of the biggest blockbusters of the goddamn time. And of course I get True Lies. I kind of grabbed this up with something else. I don't remember exactly what, but it was like I think it was like they're giving me like a 2 for 10 or two for 20 deal, something like that. So I grabbed this up with something else here and there and everywhere. But again, it's the widescreen version and stuff like that. I already had it on DVD, but I figure you might as well grab the Laserdisc because it's probably just a little bit better quality, especially you have the uncompressed audio to a certain degree, THX in that regard, and AC-3 as well. So good type of stuff in that regard there. So there's that. And the last couple, I got only a few more coming up. This is another one I grabbed at Reckless Records a couple years ago, which is 2010, the Peter Hyams sequel, which again, this is another one I had to get rid of this freaking plastic garbage in this whole thing. I didn't show you the proper ones, but I probably have one down here. But throwing this in when I was about to get into the Outland review. It's like, I really want to get the fucking Blu-ray because photography looks phenomenal. Really got to get the most out of it. It still looks good. It's AC-3 version. They had a regular digital version, but then they reissued it with AC-3 Surround. So this is the version I grabbed, and the sleeve is in immaculate condition. Absolutely looks phenomenal. Just the sleeve alone is in perfect condition. That was the thing that grabbed my eye, and it wasn't that much money at all. So definitely snagged this up. I think it's a pretty good film. It's a pretty underrated film. A lot of things about Peter Hyams, very interesting. I have no problems ever really covering a Peter Hyams film. But another one that has a stupid plastic thing in. So, and maybe I don't have one quite yet, but When a Stranger Calls Back, I absolutely love this film. I just watched it last week. Love it. I did catch it back in the 90s on Showtime. Liked it. I thought it was pretty creepy back then. I did that for one reason. I just had an impulse to do a freaking retrospective on all three of the films in the franchise, the original, sequel, and remake. This was the best one. Absolutely. Beginning to end, actually the most consistent and best one of the whole thing. And I just think it's actually fantastic. The DVD was out of print. Again, another one I grabbed before I even had the player, so I just knew I really wanted to grab this after I did that video on it, and just like really, really good. And great, so good, so glad Screen Factory issued the Blu-ray on it because I grabbed that thing up. It's got a 1.33 to 1 version because it was a TV broadcast, a Showtime original film, but then they also put on a widescreen cropped version for it, so you can watch it either way. Looks good either way. And the Blu-ray's got some interviews from Carol Kane and Fred Walton, the director, and also Jill Schoen, actually fantastic. I'm going to cover her in The Stepfather. I actually love her in this film. I want to catch her other film called Popcorn, which she did with Dee Wallace. I checked the trailer for that. Looks really good. I really want to check that out. Stuff like that, but this looks really good because because again, it was a TV film in the 90s. It just designed for 4:3, so you get all the vertical resolution. It looks really, really good. Definitely recommend it to a certain degree in that regard. But last one I have here. This one actually has the sleeves in it, so I'll show it to you. So these are the better sleeves that you really want to get. You don't have those weird plastic ones that bunch up the entire thing. But I got Wolf here with Jack Nicholson and all that type of stuff, and threw it in just a little bit. It's okay looking. It's not great. It's apparently from these. I don't know if it's set on here or something else on wherever the case is. The word is that this was done from an HD TV transfer. This might still be the same transfer that they're issuing on Blu-ray today because it doesn't look that good on Blu-ray. Absolutely does not. It really needs a refresh. But here, there, and everywhere. This is another one from Sony, which sometimes will have rot. I didn't find too much of a defect on it. There's a little speckles of certain things, but I didn't feel like there was anything too obtrusive on the whole thing. This is definitely apparently the better version they had. I think there were some other problems with a previous one that had sort of yellow lettering for the widescreen text on this whole thing. But apparently this is the better version to grab. So might have done from a different plant or something else like that. So it's a better version of it. Audio-wise, I don't think there's nothing really denoted on it. So yeah, it's Dolby Surround version. But yeah, it's one of those things that's I saw a comment on the old video I had just this week, and it's the commenter did not have good things to say about the film. I was replying, the video is 9 years old. My opinions have changed. They've shifted. I wouldn't still say this is one of my favorite horror films of all time. not by a long shot. Still find it interesting of a film. Especially if you get that Indicator series Blu-ray that has the 50-minute documentary on it. There's a lot of fascinating behind the scenes on the entire film that's worth exploring to a certain degree. A lot of the information is up on IMDb trivia section, but I think it's still an interesting film. I still need to revisit it, just kind of refresh myself and stuff like that. But like I said, none of the transfers are all that kind of all that good. So you kind of have a crapshoot. It's like I can watch the Laserdisc, I can watch the Blu-ray. They're not that much of a difference. Sadly, there's not a lot of detail or anything else to get off the Blu-ray. It's a very old transfer. So like I said, it was true this was taken from like HD Master at the time from like what 94 or something like that. Wouldn't be fucking surprised if it's the same thing that's rolling around now because it's just not that good. I think the DVD was non-anamorphic. I think so. So I'm not too surprised if this thing's never gotten a new scan on any format whatsoever. But it's got 2 discs, 3 sides. So I don't remember it being that long of a film. It's probably just a smidge over 2 hours. Just a smidge, about 5 minutes over 2 hours, so they would have had to kick it over to a third side anyway. But they did do CAV in the whole thing, but film that didn't perform well, but they at least put in some effort in that regard. But that's everything. That's the whole damn thing. It's been an extremely long video getting all this stuff crammed in here. Didn't think it would take this long, but it did. There's a lot of stuff there, but I don't even know what else I'm actually looking at. I'd have to check up on my wish list on freaking Laserdisc database to find out what the hell. See if I can figure this out really fast or whatnot. See if I can figure this out. The site will cooperate with me on the phone. See if it'll work. See if it'll work. Let's get there. Here we are. Oh. Stuff like, kind of want to get that Highlander 2 Renegade version because it probably looks better on the Laserdisc than it did on the DVD I have. Mortal Kombat Special Edition Laserdisc has a commentary that's not been recycled onto any other version, any other release of the film. There's that. There's also, same thing with Special Edition of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 has a different commentary than what's on the DVD and the Blu-ray. And of course I do have the Letterboxd Superman 2 from, I think is also the US and Germany, US and Japan. I have those on my list for maybe getting those at some point in time. Return of the Living Dead, because there is one extra song that had to be replaced on the Screen Factory version they couldn't license. And a couple other minor things are not too important, but kind of curiosities if I ever just get them dirt cheap. I got kind of the first couple Elm Street films that were done kind of remastered to a certain degree on letterbox versions, but they're always very pricey. They're not easy to grab, stuff like that. So that's all I got for you guys at this point in time. That's everything I own. So let me know what you think about all that type of stuff. So guys, be back with some other good stuff soon. Some new retro video series and some other commentaries coming up in the next month. So guys, thanks so very much. Take care. Bye bye.